Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Gurave Gaurachandaya Radhikaya Dharane Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Parabhaktaya Namo Namah. Yam Pravachantamana Praityamapaitti Krityam Vaipayana Viraha Katara Ajunava Putreti Tampayatayottara Lumidustam Sarvabhutam Vidimanatoshmi Bhaktya Aparada Lakshmi Shittascha Karmaditarangamadhye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapanam Prinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashvitasam Vadami Radham Karana Paratram Tatamunasti Katina Chapi Tavaivasmi Nativa Mitvayuna Iti Vignaya Devi Tvam Naivam Charatikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktapinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dharma pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Taradara Shishima Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Taradara Shishima Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our most effulgent and illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, my Dandava pranams to everyone. So coming back to our subject matter of Jaiva Dharma, and in particular the Dasmula, we'll continue to scroll through some verses of Falshruti. These Falshruti, if you see, by the way, just on the page before the Falshruti, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying a very beautiful prayer. I'm going to read it today. I'm just going to read the English. Or actually, Radhadasi, you can read the Bengali there. It's on page 827. Guru Krishna Vaishnavera.
Guru Krishna Vaishnavera Krapa Baladhari Bhakti Vinoda Dina Bahu Yatnakari.
After striving many days and carrying upon his head the Kripa Shakti of Sri Guru, Krishna and the Vaishnavas, this lowly Bhaktivinoda Thakur
Virachila Jaiva Dharma Gaudiya Bhashaya Sampurna Haila Grantha Magi Purnamiya
has composed Jaiva Dharma according to the pure conceptions of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. This is what we've said many times, it's the condensed instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This book was fully complete on Magh Purnima, the full moon day of the month of Magh.
Chaitanyabdachari Shata Dashena Vadvipe Godruma Surabhi Kunje Janavi Samipe.
In the year 410 of the Chaitanya era, 1896, remember this day, 1896, at Surabhi Kunj in Godrum Dweep, near the sacred river Janavi, in Navadweep Mandal.
Shri Kali Pavana Gora Pade Yantra Asa E Grantha Padunatini Koriye Vishwasa.
Those who desire the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga, the purifier of her age of Kali, should read this book with faith. Interesting, he's saying the same things as he's saying in the Falshruti, again with faith.
Gaurange Janharana Janamela Shradhelesa E Grantha Padite Tonre Samantha Vishesha.
However, I take an oath that someone who has not developed even a trace of Shraddha for Sri Gaurangadev should not read this book. He doesn't want people who don't have faith, because what will happen? They will try and use their rationality and they will commit offenses. That's why. They'll commit offenses to this sacred text. They should wait until they have Shraddha, they have faith.
शुष्का मुक्ति वाड़े कृष्णा कभू नाही पाया श्रद्धावाने व्रज लीला शुद्ध रूपे भाया.
For the dry muktivads can never attain the shelter of Sri Krishna, but one endowed with spiritual shraddha will gradually realize the full esoteric aspects of Braja Leela. So I just thought that was very beautiful to read on this special day today, Ekadashi. Every Ekadashi is very special. It gives us an opportunity to make a little bit more brat. Already we're performing some tapasya in the sense of chatumasya. We're following different regulated principles about our eating habits and so on. And but in Ekadashi, it's always helpful for us because all day long we're not taking grains. So all day long we're thinking, why am I not taking grains? Oh, because this month this day is very sacred to Krishna. And Krishna has said that all the pop, all the sin will go into the grains if you take them off. So I'm remembering Krishna much more. That's the objective, to remember Krishna with our whole consciousness. I was hearing the other day of one devotee, a well-known devotee on YouTube who speaks a lot. He was talking about a car accident that he was in when he was younger. And he was in the front seat of a Maruti, and the Maruti turned around to the right in front. They were overtaking, and this truck just turned around. And how I can speak in Hebrew? Is the sound up on there? I can't see my battery. Shame. The light doesn't seem to be on there. Yes, put it back in the charger. So they were overtaking this truck, and the truck suddenly decided to take a right exit and cut across, and they went straight into this truck, and they were going very, very fast. And of course, he went right through the windscreen, but he was saying at the time, he was chanting Hare Krishna very loudly. But there was like a second voice within his mind that was just terrified and was not really chanting Hare Krishna. So the understanding is how to absorb all of our consciousnesses in chanting Hare Krishna. This takes practice. It takes time. It takes dedication. And on a day like Ekadashi, we can do that more easily because everything is about Krishna on Ekadashi. So we can practice that immersion in Krishna on Ekadashi. And he was completely unhurt in the accident. He didn't lose consciousness at all. He was covered in blood and so on from the windscreen glass, but nothing actually happened to him. Because externally he was chanting very loudly. But the point that he was making was that internally he hadn't absorbed Krishna sufficiently to fully encompass his whole consciousness. He was still holding on. Because we may talk about Krishna, speak about Krishna, but then something inside is not faithful, is doubtful. You know, there's some disconnect there. So our process is to connect fully. Can you hear me now? Someone called you and told you. Who? Very good. So now the last 4 verses. Jaiva Dhamma Pateshe Shura Bhakti Hoy. Jaiva Dhamma Padile Kabe Bhakti Noy. One who reads Jaiva Dhamma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva Dhamma can never attain Bhakti. Rupanuga Abhiman Pate Trita Hoy. Jaiva Dhamma Vimukake Dharma Hine Koi. Faithfully reading Jaiva Dhamma will surely strengthen one's Abhiman as a Rupanuga, follower of Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva Dhamma is certainly devoid of religious principles. So this statement is showing us that we're in this track, we're in this channel, exclusively coming from Rupa Goswami, who was the principal person to write the instructions and open the teachings of Mahaprabhu. And when we say Rupa Goswami, we immediately think of all the Goswamis. Raghunath Das Goswami, he gave us Manashiksha, for example. All of these scriptures that are coming, Vilap Kusumanjali, all these scriptures that are coming from
Mahaprabhu through all these personalities. This is what this Rupanuga, when we say Rupanuga, it means, that's why we never say Prabhupada Anuga. Some not so educated people, they talk about Prabhupada Anuga. That is completely bogus. And setting up that Prabhupada is the end of the Guru Parampara, and Prabhupada, we are only going up to Prabhupada. Completely ignorant. We're going up to Rupa Goswami. We are Rupanugas, always Rupanugas. Of course, we love Prabhupada, doesn't compromise that, but Siddhantically, we have it in the right consciousness. Java jivane jay pade jaiva dharma, bhaktiman se jana brita jnana karma. One who faithfully reads Jaiva Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of jnana and karma. That's exactly like the verse, Anyabilasa Dasamyam, jnana karmadi anavritam. This is a description of bhakti, uttam bhakti. So it's not covered by jnana or karma. Just like we have the karma-kan section, the jnana-kan section, but Bhakti Devi eclipses those two sections. It's different. The result. Karma-kan is fruit. Jnana-kan is mukti, moksha. Yes. And the yogic path is paramatma. All three are missing the connection directly with Krishna. Once we understand these things, we can be really clear on our direction and absorb our education in that direction and not be distracted by any other type of path or gyan, because there is so many opportunities. You'll just be walking in the street one day in Vrindavan, some nice speaker will be speaking. Oh yes, he speaks nicely. He looks so beautiful. Yes, I listen to what he says, but it's completely not on the same track. You have to be very educated to understand who is speaking the precepts of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. In Krishnadas Kaviraj, every time he concludes one chapter, I'm taking the shelter of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, these two in particular. Krishnera Ramala Seva Labi Senara Seva Sukamagnara He Sada Krishna Para. Such a man, being fully devoted to Sri Sri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate, loving service. You remain forever merged in that bliss of that seva. Okay, so now we're back to our subject matter of the Dashamula, and first we'll again, is that charging now?
We're just checking. Whenever the shloka is coming, then we try to give.
Yes, I wonder why it failed. Expensive microphones, they shouldn't fail. Huh?
It's charging.
Oh, good. So, Amnaya Praha. This is the Amnaya, this is the Prama. This is what we've been through mostly so far in this chapter 13. We've covered all of this. We've covered the Guru Parampara. We've covered so many questions by Brajanath, inquiring directly about the efficacy, the strength of the Vedic conclusions over and above the pramayas, the other pramans rather, this pratyaksha, etc. These other pramans. So Amnaya Praha. Then the first Tattvam Harim Iha Paramam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarva Shaktiman, he's the repository of all Shakti, he's Shaktiman. Rasabdim, he's the repository of all Rasa. So there we have three pramayas and one praman in the first line. It's really, I told before, I can't emphasize sufficiently that if we understand this verse, if we can learn this verse, if we can appreciate these 10 truths, I said before, then we are equipped in any assembly of Vaishnavas to speak siddhantically and not stray from these ontological truths. Tad vibhinamsams, the jiva is vibhinamsa tattva. Cha jivan prakriti kavelitam. There's those who are deluded, swallowed up by maya, the illusion, the Bada Jivas. Then there's Tad Vimuktams Chabhaved, those who are liberated, the Nitya Badas, Nitya Jivas, liberated. And then Beda Abeda Prakasham Sakalam Apihare, this Chintya Beda Beda Tattva we discussed many times. So to appreciate that. Sadhunam, what is the sadhan? Shuddha Bhaktim. The sadhan is Shuddha Bhaktim. So this is very clear. What is Shuddha Bhakti? Shuddha Bhakti is not Gyan or Karma. This is the distinction. This is why it's very helpful to read that beautiful book, Bhakti Tattva Vivek, before we begin this. You must read that book when you get home. Bhakti Tattva Vivek. It's excellent, excellent book. It's only a very small book, but it contains the essence of what is Shuddha Bhakti. Without those truths, then we're not getting the absolute reality. And then what is the sadhyam? Tat piritim, love. Only love is what's actually going to touch and affect the heart. Not worldly love, not attached love, not anything to do with love in this world. Everything to do in love in this world at the time of death is going to be annihilated. It's going to be gone from your mind completely. But any little tiny fraction of attraction to Krishna in this world, and when we say Krishna, that means Guru. That means all the Guru Parampara. That means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That means all the history of Vaishnavism. That means the Das Mula. When we say Krishna, it means everything. But that is what is going to carry us to a higher region of consciousness when we leave this body. When we leave this body, there'll be nothing left of our various material attachments. Zero. And then, Evati Upadishyati Janam Gaura Chandra Swayam Saha. This is the beliefs. These are the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is what we're getting here. So now we're coming to our place. And yesterday we discussed about the 6 principal qualities. Very simple. And someone asked a question today. They couldn't understand how the quality of vairagya could be a negative quality, how that can be negative. And they were confused by that. But to appreciate the positive, sometimes Krishna manifests the negative. But we should understand what is the Brahmajyoti. The Brahmajyoti, in a very simple analogy, is like your shadow. What qualities does your shadow have? Your shadow doesn't have any qualities except it's dark and it's a semblance of you, right? But it has no qualities by itself, is it? It's completely... So the human being also has an aura. If you're clairvoyant, you can see your particular auras. If your third eye is open, you can see the auras in many people. But what is the quality of those auras? Those auras are exhibitions of the emotions in the heart of that person, right? That's what they are. If you're feeling very happy, then you have a green aura. If you're feeling very peaceful, then you have a red aura. If you're feeling very true, then you have a blue aura. If you're really spiritually divine, you have like a white aura. A bright, if you're very heavy and dense, you have like a purple aura. So what is the quality of these auras? Do they have personality inside of them? No, they're impersonal. Because they're just a what?
Reflection.
Reflection, yes. They're coming out. They're reflecting out. They don't have substance. They don't have material body. Therefore, they're impersonal. So vairagya itself is also impersonal. And we say negative as opposed to saying positive. It's not that we have that beautiful verse, vairagya yug bhakti rasam prayatna, when we're glorifying Sanatana Goswami. He was the embodiment of vairagya. Kripam buddhadya paraduka dukhi. He's saying like this in this beautiful verse, glorifying. Raghunath Das is glorifying Sanatana Goswami. He's glorifying his vairagya. Lord Brahma, in the Chatushloki, he was glorified by Krishna for his tapas, for his vairagya. Vairagya is one of the sons of Bhakti Devi. Gyan and Vairagya are her 2 sons of Bhakti Devi. They support our journey. Today we're performing Ekadashi. So we're performing some tapasya, some vairagya. But it's not a positive injunction. How to explain that better than what I have? Can you think how to say? How would you describe vairagya in the sense of what I'm saying? Because we term it a negative, because it's not a positive thing. It's like the night, we can say, is a negative.
It's the Vairagya is saying about in terms of Krishna, not for the Jiva.
That's correct.
Yeah, because for Krishna, it's not like if he's not like interested in that kind of thing or like some kind of thing, then he's not like merciful to that place or for that Jiva. But in terms of Jiva, it is like Vairagya is like in terms of in a positive way. But
Gora Prabhu is making a very nice point that we're talking about vairagya here, because I don't think everyone heard what you're saying, is in relationship to Krishna. It's not in relationship to the jiva performing tapasya and vairagya. It's Krishna's vairagya. So Krishna's vairagya, we can say, is like the negative aspect. Like Lord Brahma, he has his front side and he has his back side. The demons are manifested from the back side and the devas are manifested from the front side. So to be complete, you have to have a front side and a back side. Music has to be complete. There has to be no sound, silence, and then sound. If you just have music without some interludes, without some breaths of silence, it doesn't enhance the entire composition. When you have the silence in between, it accentuates the sound. So sometimes the ugliness of this world will accentuate the beauty of the spiritual world. When there's opposites like that, they can tend to highlight the beauty. So in that sense, vairagya is considered a negative aspect because it's not a positive aspect. And gyan, I made the comment, you can find it in a library. So that's again impersonal. But I think the best analogy that I just thought of this morning was the idea of a shadow. I think when you consider a shadow, what are the qualities in a shadow? There's no qualities except a reflection of the form. What can a shadow give? Some shade. And what can the Brahmajyoti give? Some shade, some peace, shantaras. And many go into that shantaras at the time of death. If you look on YouTube, you can see many near-death experiences there called. If you type in near-death experience, and many of those people, they're describing, oh, it was all light and so loving, so sweet, and that's the Brahmajyoti. It's so loving because you don't have any desires, so you feel at peace completely. Shantaras. This is the quality of the Brahmajyoti. So if we practice trying to merge back into there, what a tragedy. It's such a tragedy if you meet a Brahmavad, because they can't pull themselves out of that. I gave the example once before of a friend who came to stay with me for about 6-8 weeks in Navadvip. And he had been practicing this Wim Hof breathing. And he had actually attained a state of consciousness similar to Brahman. And I preached to him for 6 weeks, every single day, about the nature of the jiva. And he was a very intelligent boy. And he could understand what he was saying, but he couldn't go there because he'd already experienced some bliss doing this other path. Why should he practice this path when he'd already got bliss? Where's the incentive to go and practice, get up in the morning, chant Hare Krishna, do various austerities that we have to perform in the sadhana bhakti to come to Krishna? Why would you bother? It's like if ever you meet a very wealthy person, like a movie star or something like that, a rich person, why would they have to practice bhakti? They've already got everything. I told the story, my Gurudev one time met this lady in a lift in New York, full of gold jewelry and everything. And the devotees were with Gurudev, and this lady was there sort of smiling happily. And my Gurudev said to her, you should chant Hare Krishna. She said, why should I do that? I don't need God. I've got everything I want. That's what she said to my Gurudev. You see? You're happy. You got so many material things. Why should you pray? It's not very often the people who don't have things are more inspired to at least take shelter of the path of Krishna consciousness, because they feel that they will get some jewels, some realization will come. But a person who has everything, why should they be inspired for that? Because they think they're illusioned so much. The more wealthy people are the most illusioned. When you look at the faces of some of these really wealthy people, they are so much illusioned by their wealth. They just don't believe in God. They don't need God. Oh, they'll do some token puja and this and that and the other. But really at heart, they're not like us serious practitioners. And the more in distress you are, the more easy it is on this path. Like many Westerners, for example, came to this path out of such intense distress, so much distress, trying to find the material dream and just realizing the material dream was empty. And then what? Nothing. Even becoming famous is actually like an empty room. There's no one there. If you become very, very famous, one person wrote that. He said it's just like coming into an empty room. There's no one there. Everyone stands back from you because your aura is so bright. That's what fame does. That's why fame, what did we read yesterday? That the effulgence of fame is jnana and vairagya. That's what we just read. So this fame creates an aura. If Mr. Modi is suddenly walking down the streets here, it's, you know, his aura is right out there. Everyone can see, wow. And he thinks also, wow. And this is the illusion of a great, great person, unless they're connected to Guru, who can actually pop that aura in a fraction of a second. So I hope that answers that devotee's doubt about vairagya. But it was a good question, and I thank that devotee for that. So now I don't have to go over again this paragraph of the... So when we say, but just one more closing thing in regards to this paragraph. Now remember where this paragraph is. It's on page 293. You should have a mark somewhere that you know to reference it, because there will come a time in the future when you suddenly want to have this reference. This is what it means, getting familiar with the Shastras, getting to know the Shastras. We start to know where the Praman is. We start to know what, if I'm trying to describe something in connection with Krishna's 6 qualities, his opulences, I know exactly where to put my finger on it so that I can not, oh, it's somewhere in the scripture. That's too vague for an intelligent person. You want to be able to bring it straight to their notice. So try to take note of where that is. So when we're saying Krishna has 6 qualities, and you should teach this to Chaitanya, he should know the 6 qualities of Krishna. And the first quality we should always say is beauty, because it's beauty that is the most attractive feature of all his qualities. And to be beautiful, you have to have an object that is beautiful. Therefore, all qualities are within the beauty of Krishna. That's why his name is Krishna, the all attractive. In Braj, everyone is attracted to Krishna, only Krishna. Even the old men, the old women, the old mothers, everyone, when Krishna comes back at Goduli and all the dust, all the mothers, they run first to Krishna because Krishna is the most attractive. And when they're having their dramas and plays and recitations, narrations in the evening time, Pradosh Leela, they're all glorifying Krishna because Krishna is the most beautiful. And then we have the 3 qualities of Krishna: opulence, fame, and strength. These are direct personal attributes. And then we have the effulgence of fame, we just described, which is Jnana and Vairagya. So when we say Sat, Chit, Ananda, Sat means existence. Sat does not mean the Brahmajyoti. The nature of the Brahmajyoti is Chit Shakti. And then Sat, Chit, Ananda. Ananda is Bhagavan. But Sat means existence. That means Paramatma feature is there. It means existence. So there is no existence in the Brahmajyoti. Again, this was a mistake that many people who would read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Prabhupada is writing Sat, Chit, Ananda, and then he's writing Brahmati, Paramatmati, Bhagavan. So they were thinking that Sat means Brahmati, that Sat means the Brahman. you understand what I'm saying? There's no existence in the Brahman. What existence is there in your shadow? Sat means existence. So the Sat potency doesn't refer to the Brahmiti, to the Brahman. Sat, Brahmati, Paramatmati. This Paramatmati, this is the Chit and the Sat combined. So the first, when we say Sat Chitananda, but the first aspect is the Chit Shakti. The Chit Shakti is within the Brahman, but the Chit Shakti is everywhere also. Because understand, what is the Chit Shakti in reference to Braja, to Vrindavan? It's described that Krishna, it's described first of all that Lord Balaram, he's the existence potency of everything within Vrindavan. And then what is that knowledge in Vrindavan? That knowledge is knowledge of the relationships with each other in Vrindavan. That's what constitutes the knowledge of Vrindavan, are the relationships. Knowledge of relationships. They don't need any other knowledge. There is no other valid knowledge except my relationship with Krishna and their relationship with each other. That's the most beautiful aspect of life, is relationship. If you have knowledge of your relationships, then that is the height, the most beautiful. And then in this material world, we have bhautik gyan, which is knowledge of impersonal topics. And we think we're very clever, going to university, getting a whole string of, materially educated things. And we think, oh, I'm very important. I know so many material facts. What's that got to do with Krishna or the transcendental reality? At the time of death, where will it be in your next life? Where will the potency, where will the strength, where will the auspiciousness of that be in your next life? It's all pertaining to material enjoyment and pleasure. We go to these schools. The one good thing about going to these colleges is that you can exercise the brain. You get trained from a child to use your brain, to exercise, to memorize verses, etc., like that. I was always bad in school. That's why I don't remember so many of the verses. I never liked it. I never was attracted to that system from childhood. I was always attracted to thinking and remembering about India a lot of the time in my childhood. But what is the value of anything bhautik gyan? What is its strength? Knowledge of what is in this world has no real value. So that's knowledge. So I hope you appreciate that, and I hope you have, it's best for you to print out a copy of that tree with the 6 qualities. It's a beautiful diagram, and once now we've been over it very clearly, then you should print it out, laminate it, and keep it with you in a folder. And whenever the topic comes out, if you're explaining to somebody, you can just show them the picture. By the way, you showed it all sideways yesterday. Everyone saw it sideways. I had to turn your head around to look at it like that.
It won't have come properly.
You could come anyway. Yes.
That's why.
Okay, I understand.
Even though in that also the text was not unclear. I saw that.
But anyway, they got an idea of it,
Yes.
and they can find it on the website. And I'm humbly requesting them to actually print it out and keep it. I say these things when it comes in one ear and out the other, and people just forget about it. But anyway, I'm offering that. Okay, so now Brajanath. So any more questions on that? Are you 100% clear now? Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means existence potency. That can't be the Brahman, because what existence is there in a shadow, for example, in an effulgence? What existence is there? It's not. It can't be. So now Brajanath is asking a question. The impersonal nirvishesh qualities. Nirvishesh. Vishesh means attributes or dress. So nir means without those. Qualities of Brahm are described in many places in the Vedas, and at the end of these descriptions, the mantras Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om is always used to describe the supreme truth, Sri Hari. Who is this Sri Hari? What an interesting question. Rajanath is really a smart person, you know. He wants to know, who is this person? What do you think? Yes. Babaji. That Sri Hari is in fact Chit Leela Matuna, the combined form of Radha and Krishna. That is who that Hari is. That's the personality of Krishna. Radha, Krishna, Pranaya, Vikritya, Hladini, Shakti, Asmat. Radha and Krishna are actually one. They're not two, they're actually one. Just like you and your potency are one, in fact. You have you and your energy, the Rupa and the Swarup. But in Krishna's case, the energy has become manifested as a personality, as the feminine aspect. Because everything is complete in Krishna's creation. Ishavasya idam sarvam. Everything is complete. Purnam, Purnam, Adi Purnam. This Purnam, completeness, is there in Krishna's form. Everything.
There is one question.
What's that? Tell me the question.
I am unable to see right now.
Oh, when you get the question, tell me.
Yes. And the
Speak
and
loudly.
the Paramatma feature, Dr. Phanindra Hundu is saying, Gurudev and the Paramatma feature belong to which quality among Satchidanand?
Chit
Or a
and
combination of-
Sat. Chit and Sat, both of them. The Sat and the Chit is Paramatma feature because Paramatma has existence. So the Paramatma feature is represented by Sat. But when we say Sat, Chit, Ananda, that Sat is the embodiment of the Paramatma feature. And the Brahman is the embodiment of the Chit Shakti. But it's the impersonal aspect of Chit Shakti. I've tried to explain the personal aspect of Chit Shakti also, like in the relationships of Vrindavan. Knowledge has its personal aspect also. But when we say Sat, Chit, Ananda, Sat means existence. So for Paramatma feature has existence. That's why the yogis are higher than the jnanis, because they realize that existence potency of Paramatma in their hearts. Are you satisfied with that?
Yes, he said, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your question. I love questions like this. If I'm hearing questions, then I'm thinking someone's listening. Very good, very good. So the impersonal, nirvishesh qualities of Brahm are described in many, we've read that. So who is this Sri Hari? Okay, he's saying the verses, Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om. Who is that Hari? Babaji, that Sri Hari is in fact Chit Leela Mituna, the combined form of Radha and Krishna, who performs divine pastimes. This is the height. This is the quintessence. This is the topmost, is the Leela. Always the Leela we are hoping to be attracted to, not the Gyan, not the Tattva. My Gurudev said so many times, the Tattva is like the horse, and the Leela is riding the horse. The Leela is superior, the rider is superior to the horse, not the horse. Stay on the horse of Tattva. And my Gurudev also said we should know enough Tattva to enter into Leela. So now we are becoming familiar with the Tattva so we can enter into the Leela, especially into the Rasa Leela. Just exactly in the same way with the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're understanding what is Tattva Gyan coming through the first 9 cantos so that we can walk into confidently, with great respect, into the 10th canto. If we haven't dressed ourselves in that honorable, respectful mood of extreme dedication to the Supreme Lord, knowing his supreme opulences, we can't really access the 10th canto with our hearts, because there'll be some doubts there. And the descriptions are so achintya, they're so inconceivable. Krishna killing these huge demons, Kamsa, etc. And Krishna dancing with 300 billion gopis. I mean, what could be more inconceivable than that? Yet the sadhak, because of his absorption in the tattva is able to easily accept that. That Sri Hari is in fact Chit Lila Matuna, the combined form of Radha and Krishna, who performs divine pastimes. Rajana, I will inquire into this subject matter later, or this subject later. Now kindly tell me, how is Paramatma, the creator of the universe, a partial manifestation of Bhagavan? Interesting. We'll see what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says here. Babaji, pervading everything by his qualities of Aishwarya and Virya, power, and creating all the universes, Bhagavan enters every universe by his Anksha, partial manifestation. Vishnu, every Angsha of Bhagavan always remains complete. None of them are ever incomplete. This is the verse I just tried to say.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate.
So this Purnam is full, complete. So Bhagavan is full and complete in this world. This is the Brihat Aranyaka Upanishad 5.1 and the Sri Isopanishad invocation. The Avatari Purush, the original of all avatars, is complete and perfect. Because he is completely perfect, all avatars emanating from him are also complete. All that emanates from the Supreme Complete is complete. Even if the complete is subtracted from the complete, he still remains complete. In no way does that Parameshwara experience any diminution. This is why it's so absurd to consider that we fall from Vaikuntha, because it means that Vaikuntha is not perfect. If there's a place for you to fall from there, then it's not perfect. Therefore, that complete whole, Sri Vishnu, who enters the universe and controls it, is certainly the indwelling supersoul, Paramatma. That Vishnu has three forms: Karanadakshay Vishnu, Shiradakshay Vishnu, and Garbhadakshay Vishnu. Karanadakshay Vishnu, who is a partial manifestation of Sri Bhagavan, partial. He's actually got some, Mahavishnu, has my Gurudev described, some tiny flaw is there, because he actually looks towards Mahamaya, because that is necessary to begin the whole creation. So there's some tiny aspect of contamination or material contamination, because he looks towards the material energy. Beyond Karanadakshay Vishnu, no one even looks to the material energy. It's that insignificant. Karanadakshay Vishnu, who is a partial manifestation of Sri Bhagavan, situates himself on the causal ocean, or the Viraja river. What does Viraja mean? Raja is Rajagun, Viraja is beyond passion. That's what the Viraja means. That's the etymology of the word Viraja, which extends between the Chit and the Mayic worlds. So we've just described very nicely, we know exactly what he's talking about now, the Chit. The Chit is within the Brahman effulgence. We've just described that knowledge Shakti is within the Brahman effulgence. There's no Sat in the Brahman effulgence. It's the Chit Shakti. It's just saying, between the Chit, that's the Brahman, and the Mayic, that's the deluding material potency of Krishna, which extends between the Chit and the Mayic worlds. From there, he glances over Maya, who is situated far away. And by this glance, the material world is created. It's very interesting just to appreciate as a side point that this glance of Mahavishnu has the potency to create all this world. Can you imagine what the glance of Srimati Radhika has potency? When she can put the Supreme Personality of Godhead on his back? When Radha and Krishna are wrestling at Mandirvat, Radharani says, who are you? You think you're so great? I can take you on. I'll wrestle with you. So they make an arena, and Radharani, she puts pantaloons on and dresses exactly like a wrestler. Krishna's all slapping his arms, walking around. His suckers are patting him on the back, fanning him. Yes, yes, go for it. And as soon as he gets into the arena, Radharani, boom, Krishna's on his back. Lalita jumps out. Krishna's the winner. Straight away, immediately, with one glance at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here we have an Angsi, the Karanadakshayi Vishnu. He's glancing at the material world, and just a glance, and all this happens. How much of this happens? He glances over Maya, who is situated far away, and by this glance, the material world is created. Bhagavan Sri Krishna has described the creation of the material world in Srimad Bhagavad Gita 9:10.
Mayadhyakshena prakritiha suyate sacharacharam.
Under my superintendence, my illusory energy creates the universe full of moving and non-moving beings. Under his superintendence. He's not doing it himself. He's just playing with the gopis in Goloka Vrindavan. But all this is going on under his superintendence. Then it is said, Sa Aikshata, that Paramatma glanced. Aitreya Upanishad 1:1:1. That Paramatma glanced. So it's interchanging the words here. Paramatma we consider is the Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, which comes after Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. But here the words are, the names are interchangeable. Because in one sense, they're all exactly anksas of Krishna. Sa imal lokan asrajat. That Paramatma created the universe of moving and non-moving entities after glancing over his Maya. So now we're getting familiar with the potency of Paramatma as being separate, or another name for Mahavishnu, right? Because we normally say Mahavishnu glanced, but here it's saying Paramatma. So the names are interchangeable. It's not, don't suddenly start thinking, what's he saying? Paramatma glanced? No. Mahavishnu's glancing, but he's being given the name Paramatma because it's Paramatma, Param Atma, that supreme Atma. Karanadakshayi Vishnu's power of glancing, which enters Maya, carried by Shambhu, you remember the story, Shambhu is carrying that glance, becomes Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and the localized atoms in the rays of the transcendental glance of that Mahavishnu are the conditioned souls. And in the heart of every jiva, Ishvara is situated as a thumb-sized expansion of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Otherwise, we don't have life. I've described to you before in the Govinda Bhasya by Baladev Vidyabhushan. He describes that every single night when we go to sleep, for a millionth of a moment, a second, we touch that Paramatma consciousness in our sleep. At the deepest part of our sleep, we're touching just to give us life for the next day. If we didn't touch with Krishna like that, we wouldn't have life in the body. This is how he is explaining it. Govinda Bhasya. Svetashvarta Upanishad 4:6 states, Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakyaya. Sakyaya. The jivas and Paramatma are in the heart of the jiva, like two birds on the branch of a tree. One of these birds is Ishvara, who awards the results of fruit of activity. And the other bird is the jiva, who is tasting the fruits of his actions. Sri Bhagavan has expressed this tattva as follows in the Gita Upanishad 10:41-42.
Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam srimad urjitam eva va tattad evava gachatvam mama tejo msha sambhavam kim gyatena tavarjuna vilstabhyaham idam krishnam ekam shena sthito jagat.
You should understand that all opulence, existence, splendor, and potency have come from a tiny part of my opulence. Therefore, Arjun, what is the necessity of understanding all of my attributes separately? Simply understand that by an expansion of myself, I have created this entire creation, and I thereby pervade it fully. See, this is describing the nature of Paramatma. This is expansion of Krishna everywhere. Therefore, when we understand, when I've said before that Paramatma is not an eternal feature, when there is cause for that cosmic manifestation to be annihilated, where is the need for that Paramatma feature? It has no function because there's no more jivas. So where is its need to be manifested? It's there, like I said before, in a conceptual form, but it's not there. I mean, Paramatma doesn't exist without a function. The function of Paramatma is to enter the heart of every jiva. That's its function. So if there's no more jivas to enter the heart, where is Paramatma going to go? Paramatma doesn't exist then as that form. But the conception of Paramatma will be there because it's eternal for the next cosmic manifestation. Therefore, the attributes of God, such as being the creator and maintainer of the universe, are manifested in Paramatma. How wonderful, how beautiful. This is the way Krishna works. This is the way he's describing the mechanics, more or less, you know. We know that Lord Brahma is the creator, but when he's creating all the different entities, then Krishna is going to enter into all these entities. I'll read it again. Therefore, the attributes of God, such as being the creator and maintainer of the universe, are manifested in Paramatma, the partial manifestation, Angsha Swarup, of Parama Purush Bhagavan. Brajanath, I understand that Brahm is Sri Hari's bodily effulgence, and that Paramatma is his part. Yes, Paramatma feature has existence. Brahm doesn't have existence. So when it's saying part, we should understand, yes, that indicates an object, something with existence, part. That's Sat Shakti, not Chit Shakti. However, what evidence is there that Bhagavan Sri Hari is Krishna himself? Wow, what sort of question is that? Okay. Babaji, Sri Krishna Bhagavan is eternally manifest in two features, one of Aishwarya, opulence and majesty, the other of Madhurya, sweetness. The feature of Aishwarya is Narayan, who is the master of the spiritual world Vaikuntha and the origin of Mahavishnu. Sri Krishna is the complete embodiment of the Madhurya feature. This Sri Krishna is the utmost limit of complete sweetness. Indeed, his sweetness is so great that its rays completely cover his Aishwarya. There's no Aishwarya in, actually there's more Aishwarya in Vrindavan than there is even in Dwarka, but it's covered with such immense sweetness. We should appreciate this also. Sri Krishna is the complete embodiment of the Madhurya feature. This Sri Krishna is the utmost limit of complete sweetness. Indeed, his sweetness is so great that its rays completely cover his Aishwarya. From the perspective of Siddhanta or Tattva, there is no difference between Narayan and Krishna. We're going to hear this in the next few pages. Lord Narayan has 60 qualities and Krishna has 4 extra qualities. Prem Madhuri, Rup Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, and Venu Madhuri. These 4 extra qualities are within Krishna, very specific and excellent qualities, only in Vrindavan. However, when we consider the degree of rasa to be tasted in the spiritual world, Krishna is not only the foundation of all rasa, but he himself, being the very form of rasa, is also Parama Upadaya Tattva, the supremely pleasing being. We find evidence in the Vedas, Upanishads, and Puranas that Sri Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, Sri Hari. For example, in the Rig Veda, 1:12, 164-31, states,
Yes. Apasyam gopam anipadyama nama chapara chapathivis charantam sachat satrichi savichu vishuchir vasana avarivritti bhuvaneshva antaha.
I saw a boy who appeared in the dynasty of cowherds. He is infallible and is never annihilated. He wanders on various paths, sometimes near and sometimes very far away. Sometimes he is beautifully adorned with varieties of garments, and sometimes he wears cloth with only one color. In this way, he repeatedly exhibits his manifest and unmanifest pastimes. Krishna has manifest and unmanifest pastimes. In addition, in the Chandogya Upanishad 8.13.1, it is stated,
Shyamachabalam prapadye sabalachamam prabhatye.
by rendering seva to Krishna, one attains his transcendental abode, which is full of spiritual bliss and astonishing variegated leelas. And within that chit jagat, one attains the eternal shelter of Krishna. This and other mantras describe the activities of the liberated and perfected jivas, even after the stage of mukti. This is the big point. This is all after mukti. We read in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28,
Ete chamsha kala punsha krishnastu bhagavan swayam.
Ram, Nrsimha, and other avatars are all portions, angsas, or plenary portions, kala, of the Supreme Personality, Sri Bhagavan. But Sri Krishna is the original Bhagavan himself. This is so important to appreciate at this junction. If you were just reading this for the first time and you didn't understand all these truths clearly, this is a very, like for Brajanath, this is a very pivotal step to put, because he's asked, the question is about Om Hari Shanti Shanti Hari Om. Who is that Hari? And now where he's describing who is that Hari? Who is that Supreme? Just like Narad was asking Garbhodakshay Vishnu, actually, who is the Supreme? Then he performed those tapasya. Then he met Bhagavan. He met Krishna. Krishna comes and gives him the Chatushloki. These 4 verses are given. In the Gita Upanishad, Sri Krishna himself says, Mataha parataram nanyet kischit asti dhananjaya. O Arjuna, there is nothing superior to me. And it is also said in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, Purva 2.8,
Eko vashi sarvagga krishna idya ekopi san bahuda yo vabhati.
There is a question once again.
just let me finish this. Sri Krishna is the all-pervasive, non-dual Parama Brahm who controls everything. He is the only worshipable object for all the devatas, for mankind and for all other life forms. Although he is one, through his Achintya Shakti, he manifests many forms and performs many varieties of Leela. So this is what Babaji is explaining. The nature of Krishna as being the Supreme Lord, and prior to that, he was explaining about Paramatma. So he's explained 2 very deep, significant points of Tattva. Who is Paramatma and who is Hari, who is Bhagavan Hari. So this is very clearly here. And we'll leave it there for today. And we'll come on to very beautiful questions more. But this is all in the realm of Tattva Vichar. But it's touching on Rasa Vichar to give the complete picture. Otherwise, you don't get the complete picture. So what's the question?
Pradyumna Prabhuji is asking, Gurudev, plenary means Swansha.
Means what?
Swansha. Swangsa. Swang.
Plenary means
Swansha.
part or partial. And a partial manifestation of Bhagavan is Swamsa, Swa-angsa. So these plenary portions are Swamsa as well as plenary. The 2 words are the same. They have the same meaning, ultimately, plenary and Swamsa. But of the two words, plenary is less than swamsa. Swamsa are principally all the avatars, like Narayan is a swamsa, Baladev is a swamsa, Korma, Matsya, Varahar, etc. They're all swa angsa. Swa means own forms manifesting. And from their own forms, then plenary forms will manifest. So from Lord Narayan comes 3 Purusha avatars. Mahavishnu, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, Kshiradaksha Vishnu. They are like plenary portions, or it's described sometimes, Pradumna, plenary portions of plenary portions. But they all contain the potency of the Supreme Lord, the power of the Lord. They're all in the same channel. Okay. Something else? Any other question?
There is no reply, no other question as of now.
Okay.
Yes. He's saying, oh, I got it. Thank you, Gurudev.
Okay. So thank you all very much. I hope you're all appreciating the Ekadashi Brat today. And tomorrow is Dwadasi Brat. That's also a Brat, Dwadasi. And we'll continue our study tomorrow. So Vanchakalpatrubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Anantakota Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.